Moody's Anecdotes and Illustrations. Related in his revival work by the great evangelist, Dwight L. Moody. This video contained two anecdotes. First one is, "That is your fault." Second one is, "It will kill her." I remember a mother coming to me and saying, "It is easy enough for you to speak in that way. If you had the burden that I've got, you couldn't cast it on the Lord. Why, is your burden so great that Christ can't carry it?" I asked. "No, it isn't too great for him to carry, but I can't put it on him." "That is your fault," I replied, "and I find a great many people with burdens who, rather than just come to him with them, strap them tighter on their backs and go away struggling under their load." I asked her the nature of her trouble, and she told me. "I have an only boy who is a wanderer on the face of the earth. I don't know where he is. If I only knew where he was, I would go around the world to find him. You don't know how I love that boy. This sorrow is killing me. Why can't you take him to Christ? You can reach him at the throne, even though he be at the uttermost part of the world. Go tell God all about your trouble, and he will take away his sin, and not only that, but if you never see him on earth, God can give you faith that you will see your boy in heaven." And then I told her of a mother who lived down in the southern part of Indiana. Some years ago her boy came up to this city. He was a moralist. My friends, a man has to have more than morality to lean upon in this great city. He hadn't been here long before he was led astray. A neighbor happened to come up here and found him one night in the streets drunk. When that neighbor went home, at first he thought he wouldn't say anything about it to the boy's father, but afterward he thought it was his duty to tell him. So in a crowd in the street of their little town he just took the father aside, and told him what he had seen in Chicago. It was a terrible blow. When the children had been put to bed that night he said to his wife, "Wife, I have bad news. I have heard from Chicago today." The mother dropped her work in an instant and said, "Tell me what it is." "Well, our son has been seen on the streets of Chicago, drunk." Neither of them slept that night, but they took their burden to Christ, and about daylight the mother said, "I don't know how, I don't know when or where, but God has given me faith to believe that our son will be saved and will never come to a drunkard's grave." 1 week after, that boy left Chicago. He couldn't tell why an unseen power seemed to lead him to his mother's home, and the first thing he said on coming over the threshold was, "Mother, I have come home to ask you to pray for me," and soon after he came back to Chicago a bright and shining light. If you have a burden like this, fathers, mothers, bring it to him and cast it on him, and he, the great physician, will heal your broken hearts. Second anecdote. It will kill her. I was thinking today of the difference between those who knew Christ when trouble comes upon them and those who knew him not. I know several members of families who are just stumbling into their graves over trouble. I know 2 widows in Chicago who are weeping and mourning over the death of their husbands, and their grief is just taking them to their graves. Instead of bringing their burdens to Christ, they mourn day and night, and the result will be that in a few weeks or years at most their sorrow will take them to their graves when they ought to take it all to the great physician. 3 years ago a father took his wife and family on board that ill-fated French steamer. They were going to Europe, and when out on the ocean another vessel ran into her and she went down. That mother, when I was preaching in Chicago, used to bring her 2 children to the meetings every night. It was one of the most beautiful sights I ever looked on, to see how those little children used to sit and listen, and to see the tears trickling down their cheeks when the Savior was preached. It seemed as if nobody else in that meeting drank in the truth as eagerly as those little ones. One night when an invitation had been extended to all to go into the inquiry room, one of these little children said, "Mama, why can't I go in too?" The mother allowed them to come into the room, and some friend spoke to them, and to all appearances they seemed to understand the plan of salvation as well as their elders. When that memorable night came, that mother went down and came up without her 2 children. Upon reading the news I said, "It will kill her," and I quitted my post in Edinburgh, the only time I left my post on the other side, and went down to Liverpool to try and comfort her. But when I got there I found that the Son of God had been there before me, and instead of me comforting her, she comforted me. She told me she could not think of those children as being in the sea. It seemed as if Christ had permitted her to take those children on that vessel only that they might be wafted to him, and had saved her life only that she might come back and work a little longer for him. When she got up the other day at a mothers' meeting in Farwell Hall, and told her story, I thought I would tell the mothers of it, the first chance I got. So if any of you have had some great affliction, if any of you have lost a loving father, mother, brother, husband, or wife, come to Christ, because God has sent him to heal the broken-hearted. Thanks.